Those of you that went to the convention, you probably saw those 7 key general fund key financial indicators. But looking at those, looking at enrollment data, tax rates, solvency ratios, talking about budget assumptions. So when we're making projections, you have to work off a set of assumptions. And so I might have some assumptions, and you might have some, so we want to make sure those, I wouldn't want to project a 5-year projection that's based on assumptions that we're not all on board for. When I say assumptions, so we have to say, well, if our enrollment does this over a 5-year period, and the state does this for funding, this is what our budget would look like over the next 5 years. So we would have those discussions, and also looking at, staffing. We have some retirements tonight, just looking at our staffing plan as we go forward in the district. So those would be key things that I think that we would need to spend some time talking about. And then March, you see, that's when we discuss budget parameters being fulfilled as part of the certified budget. We set our public hearing date and publication for the certified budget, and then we would present a possible budget that the board could give input on prior to that hearing. And then April, you see, that's the month that we have to have it certified and turned into the courthouse by April 15th. So looking back and talking to Gary too, it looks like it had been common that early in April, a separate meeting was held to hold the hearing and do the budget, like in that first week in April, because you have to have it by the 15th. Our regular board meeting is actually after the 15th in April, so we'd have to either move our regular meeting, but it looked like a lot of times it was in the middle of the day, like at noon or afternoon,
No one had ever shown up.
yeah. So, if you look on the bottom of that second page, I think that it makes a lot of sense to have a work session where we can just focus strictly on the budget items that I listed there, and some others probably in February. And Gary and I are going to a budget workshop on February 5th in Des Moines. That's the Forecast 5 budget workshop. So we kind of want to wait till after that. So that week of the 10th is, I saw some open dates, so.
What about, not that we have to do it the same as previous years, but he always had us meet a little early and just did the budget hearing before the actual board meeting started.
The workshop?
Yeah, the workshop.
Yeah, we could do that too.
And then we brought in dinner, and then
Okay.
we kind of went in, I don't know, just so that we didn't have to come up with another date.
So like instead of 5:30, meeting at,
I think we started like at 4, wasn't it, or 4:30, was it, Carrie?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, that would be an
An hour
option
or
too.
so.
Are you talking in April?
We're talking
The
February.
February, okay. Works for me.
Yes, if that works for people, I'm doing it on the 17th and go earlier, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
And there's no school that day. The 17th, February 17th.
So we want to shoot for that. As long as, I just think it's important to have a set aside time that you can focus on that. But if we started that time, we wouldn't feel rushed. So if you try to squeeze it in a board meeting, like, it can get long.
So you're looking at 4 o'clock time?
4 or 4:30, I don't know, 4:30 would be
Yeah,
an
we
hour
can
before.
check.
How about,
Let's see what we did last year. I think that went pretty good.
4:30.
I think it was 4:30 last year.
I guess just how much time you feel you want to help figure it out.
and it's just
Come
hit
up
and
with
go
an
into
hour
the
and a half.
body.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
The newer board
I can
members.
play the
just
piano.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I think we can do it in an hour.
okay.
Just before the regular board meeting,
We can shoot for that, yeah. And then you can see the 16th. So in the next month, we'll come up with a date for when we could hold a public hearing and do the budget in April. So, any questions or comments or anything on this? So we'll just move forward with the idea of doing that in February prior to our regular meeting on the 17th. Okay?
Thank you, Susan. Okay, building principal reports.
I think Dwayne wanted me to address one from the Fairview Adams one, and it was the bullet with about the math, we're reviewing math curriculum materials this winter, and this would be a K-5 adoption. And we've completed a 7-year contract, so when we purchased the last series, Go Math, it was for 7 years. We're ending our 7th year here, so we need to look at materials, or, I know Dwayne asked you, should we just purchase Go Math program again? It's really out of date. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
that was my question was,
it's a 2012 copyright, so it's gone, I've talked to the math consultant with AEA, and she says it served its purpose, now we need to move on to more rigor, more tied to, it wasn't exactly tied to the Iowa Core, Common Core, and the new math series are more at that level, build more rigor in. And Onto Math is the next step of Go Math, the company, that's their
that was
series.
my kind of
Is that what
question.
And-
you have on to now?
For 5th grade,
Yeah,
Go Math.
Yeah,
and what about middle school?
It's,
Is it the same publisher as the?
no,
No.
it's a 6 through 8
Okay.
program.
Okay.
and so we really looked at 4 or 5 series, and one series was just totally online, and we felt like that wouldn't be good for kindergarten. I mean, that would just in itself would be more work than necessary. Another one, and the other two series that we really got down to 4 were 2015 copyright. Well, and she said, I don't see them moving ahead with a newer copyright. And so we were kind of left, and the team decided, they are reviewing the materials, and we're gonna look at Onto Math, which is like the sister to Go Math, and then Everyday Math, and those are 2 very popular series in the state of Iowa, and that's what we're going to do. The one thing, last spring when we had the snow days, or the summer, like summer, spring, after Memorial Day, we spent 2 days looking at math curricula at standards, so that we could better choose a math series, just building that in. So that was the way we took advantage of those snow makeup days for teachers. And we spent 2 days just looking at how do we close gaps, how do we build rigor into our math. And right now, so that's kind of where we're at. And the plan is that on Monday, February 17th, we've heard from one rep, the other one's still looking for a presenter. And hopefully all staff can listen, all teachers of math can listen to the presentations, and they're better able to make a decision. When we did reading, I think we got down to 4 or 5, and it was just, we had to do some after school. Well, of course, you don't have everybody there. And so this works out, if we can get it to click right for us, then everybody will hear the same message about the 2 series. And so we'd really like to move ahead. My guess is there'll be multiple year adoptions that you have to, your contract, of course, the cost per year goes down, but it's also nice. One thing I liked about it, I could juggle books around, so you get so many in your package. Well, if you had more kids at 5th grade, then you can give more there, and you can move it down if your classes get bigger. You just juggle the amount of books, and you can assign them to grade levels. So those multi-year contracts are an advantage. It's a cost up front, but it's been nice not to have to worry about it for 6 years either, the 7. So it's just nice to have that already paid for. And I know, Gary, how do you feel about those?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I
What
think
grades would it be again?
K-5,
Okay, fine.
and we haven't even talked money, so I have no clue what
Okay.
I'm talking about.
when does the decision need to be made on that, Sue, as far as to whichever program?
We'll
You'd
probably
recommend?
sit down and, by March 1st and be able to come to the board with that, for sure. I mean, the 17th, I'm gonna guess teachers will have kind of a gut feeling, they'll have to talk about it.
Because I would
So-
assume there'd be some kind of a training that's gonna,
And
for introducing it.
ideally, I'm thinking with that day, the snow day, if we don't make it up as a kid day, it could be an extra teacher day, and then we bring them in and do it this spring, so the teachers can look at the material,
Right.
just kind of know what's going on, start to plan for next year, because it will require training, because it's gonna extend the kids learning and, student, the challenging, be more
Will
challenging.
you invite the sixth grade teachers to, because the one thing I remember we found was Go Math prepared them so much that they were above where they needed to be going into sixth grade, and then now that you've gotten the new curriculum, the expectations are higher, just to see when they look at the curriculum if it's continuing to grow with.
And I would
It's
give
much
those-
higher, and so that's a good point that we are moving forward with K-5.
Yeah, I think we were higher, now then they came in with one, now we're not,
Kinda jumped over you.
So I think and she said it's gone its course. It's like hitting a brick wall. If you're gonna keep up with this series, if we buy another year, and pay for 1 year. Of course, the textbooks are higher price than we were getting per book over the 7 years. And so I think we really wanna be deliberate and get something that's a good match to where we wanna be. And it would be all right with me if sixth grade sat in on it.
I may have missed, but how long would this curriculum, what's the forecast for how long this curriculum would be used?
I would say we'd probably do like a 6
Another
or 7
about 7
years
years,
contract,
okay,
because
Okay.
honestly, you save money in the long run,
Yeah.
because the more years, the cheaper per book it costs.
And what is the name of this, the curriculum again?
Well, there's two of them, On to Math, and then that's by Hood Mifflin. And then you've got Everyday Math, which is McGraw-Hill, so those
Okay.
are we're down to,
All right,
yeah.
thanks.
And they're both 2020 copyrights, so they're,
They're on
pretty,
top.
they're pretty, right there for us. So hopefully we have after this, we'll have a proposal, teachers, and even they may mention something at our presentation on the 17th, a little bit about math, because we have just that 20 minutes that we'll share a little bit between our reading and math, so. yeah. Did that answer, Dwayne, are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
wanted a little more clarification,
Yeah.
thank you, Sue, that was my whole point. I'm not questioning the move, just
Yeah.
kinda like, hey, just more clarification, so good, thank you.
Your link won't allow us to open it.
Did you
Will you
link the
s-
PDF or the,
The Google Doc.
oh,
Will you do that later?
Mhm.
Okay.
You locked out, Jen?
I think that was on purpose by Tammy.
that's right. Well, I had it done forever and it,
You didn't want it to go through the whole, I was just clarifying that one.
Yeah, that was just,
bullet.
that's all I asked for that one thing,
Yeah.
so, yeah, thank you.
Alright. Moving on to middle school.
Just if you've got questions.
Just the questions, moved into,
Tammy's.
Tammy?
I'm working on mine.
She's good, you just got a minute.
Okay, let's see. Okay, try to refresh it and see if that worked. Sorry, asking me if I have anything I wanted to share? I mean, you've all read this, right? There's only one quick thing that I really do want to share. Just one thing, because I think you're really going to be impressed with this. Just remember how my format is. It follows along with the 4 building goals of parent involvement, social emotional, student engagement, climate and culture. The things that I have written down for those 4 categories are pretty self-explanatory. I do want to show you what our Carroll High students have worked on for the entire district. From feedback that was given from our new to the district students about becoming a student at Carroll High School or in any of the buildings, what would have helped my transition be better? So if you go to our district's homepage, our district webpage, and you look under students, there's a link there that is called New Student. And what it does, underneath this student, it has New Student Guide. And so if I'm a new student at Carroll Middle School, I will walk in and I will get a folder, an orange folder with the C logo on it. And within that, there will be different types of documents that are in there. Now, I can only speak to what's in the high school one, but if I'm a high school student, my schedule would be in there. A sheet that gives me a quick rundown of a whole bunch of different categories will be on there, from my daily schedule, school starts at this time, lunch goes to this time, different things about where I can get my Chromebook, all different sorts of things on that sheet, along with community resources like rec center number and hours, different restaurants in town, where the library is, different things like that. And these kids have worked really, really hard on this. So if you click on Fairview, for example, because within their folder they'll have a little slip that talks about how to get to this site. Welcome to Fairview. And here's the little sheet I was telling you about. It has the faces of all of the people that they will encounter, Mrs. Ruck, Ms. Bass, the administrative assistant, the nurses, and the counselor. Has a schedule on there, lunch and money, pick up, drop off, just pertinent information that a parent might want to know and could tell their student. Then there's little videos of different students welcoming the kids to school. Here's Tate's.
Miss Tate, I am a first grader in Miss Winoni's class at Fairview Elementary. What I really like about Fairview is having a lot of friends. If you ever want a friend, come find me. Go Tigers!
So there's videos of different students. So then they have a familiar face. The principal does a video, instructional coach, secretary, just so that kids can put a name with a face. And then some pictures of around the school, the lunchroom, the gym, a classroom, the library, and then outdoor playground. And that's Fairview's. Each building has a different link to theirs. Okay, why isn't that going back to my link? And you'll see, like here's Carroll High Schools. What a neat resource though for kids, because here's the one thing that we often find that happens. We forget the advantages that we have in regard to technology in our district, and there are a lot. And so oftentimes the student will come in, here's your Chromebook, and they're like, okay, now what? And so this helps get them acclimated to, navigating their Chromebook. It gives them faces and names. We've got kids that, are talking about different facets of the school. We've got technology, activities, instructional coach, myself, different rooms around the building, faces to know, so the kids can identify with that, extracurricular information, parking. So you can see different things for different buildings. Where you can park is green, where you can't is red. Believe it or not, that is a problem. This one's really neat, it's lunch information. If you don't think that that can be a daunting task for a kid going into the lunchroom with 140 kids, and these girls will tell them exactly how to go up to the lunch line, where you'll pick up your tray, how you enter your number, and then computer information and statistics about Carroll High School, academic and athletic and activity. So all you have to do is go to the district's webpage under student information, and then if you scroll down, it's the new student link. So this was all done by kids.
Was it a class that did it?
Tiger Vision.
Great job.
That is
Yeah.
just the best thing
They
that's
went
happened.
to all the different buildings and interviewed or videoed Sue, Jerry, all of the people involved, collected statistics and data. The folders are really cool because they really showcase our community too. We put the hours of the different buildings, and very proud of our kids. They did a really, really nice job. So, and if there are any other questions on my report after you have had time to look at it, just let me know. So.
Thank you, Sue, Julie. Thank you, Tammy.
You bet.
Okay, moving on. Board policy review.
Could we possibly jump to the second reading first?
That's what I was
And,
thinking.
because we've got Sarah here and she's got another meeting. to attend.
I think it's on the top though, isn't it? The second reading's right here on
We're
the
there
top.
next.
Oh, I'm sorry, the first reading,
Five.
the first reading.
Oh, the first reading.
Yeah, and I'd
which-
like to jump down to, it'd be that 704R2.
On the meal charges.
Yeah, and that way, if you have questions on that policy, she can kind of help answer those, and then she can be on her way.
Okay, this is actually, this is on number 5, under board policy review, the first reading of 704R2 meal changes, or, I'm sorry, meal charges. And, if everybody wants to read that, see if they have any questions. This has to do with.
Well, I'm glad Sarah's here, because I read through that, it's like, okay, there's a lot. Do you want to just kind of explain?
Yeah, so when we had to come up with this policy per the state of Iowa, and when we came up with it, we just kind of went with a basic, what everybody else was doing. And then once you start having to enforce it, it's like, oh, this is pretty complicated, because we just kind of set a negative $40 limit, and I'm sure you guys are gonna ask this question. So to date, right now, our negative lunch account is negative $2,300. So there are districts that are way worse than we are. We work on this every single day, every single building, phone calls, emails. It goes out. There's to date 37 accounts that have over $20 owed, and there's 5 accounts that are well over $100. So just to update you on where we're at on that. This is a very controversial topic, because people come and they see it on Facebook or they see it in the community, they wanna bail out negative lunch accounts. And so we've also had donations come into that. We've created a little committee that we will discuss a certain person's situation. We had 2 kids raise $1,200. They split the money between us and Kemper. We had about $650. We gave all of that money to negative lunch accounts. So we also reached out to the state saying, how are we supposed to do this? Like, who's supposed to get this money? Now we've had 4 other people donate money to us. I'm picking up another check tomorrow. And it's like, we don't want people to just think, oh, they're collecting money, they're just gonna pay off my negative lunch accounts, because that creates a problem for me when the kids are here for the next 12 years. So we have people come in that are also like, well, you never let people not eat, right? Like, we always let them eat, hence why we've let accounts get over the negative $100, even though the policy states we go to negative $40. So we thought we needed to break it down by how the kids are classified. You're either full paid, reduced, or free. So that's why I broke it into different categories. And then I also told you, like, when a full paid meal account reaches negative $40, we've basically let them charge lunch for 3 weeks. So we have called every single day. The emails go out starting at negative $10. You're already getting a notification. So we have parents that complain. You tell us too often. Why do we get these emails all the time? I don't want to get these emails. Like, I'm gonna go and pay. Well, it's an infinite campus thing. I cannot manage 2,000 accounts they think I personally emailed them. I'm like, no, you're in a system. It just automatically sends you the email. So when a full paid meal account, we thought it was reasonable. There's several schools that have this at negative $20, negative $25. We're one of the higher schools at negative $40 that we've already worked with them for 3 weeks. But then we still haven't come up with what happens after 3 weeks, because obviously we have people, we have a staff member whose kids go to school here, $186 negative. We don't know what to do. So what do? The person works here. They do not qualify for the meal assistance. So we just are gonna keep letting them rack up the meal debt. I don't know what to do. When a reduced priced meal account, that's you're paying 30 cents for breakfast, 40 cents for lunch. They've qualified. They're only reduced, they're not free. Some people don't get it. They still have to pay the 30 cents and the 40 cents. So we've let them charge for 6 weeks, and they have paid nothing towards their account. So we help people out, we meet, we give certain people some money. We have to come up with policy, change a policy.
Help me out with, what have we done, we got to the end of the school year with the negative balances? Are those getting turned to a collections or,
We've never done it.
that was my, is anything, I know, cause we
We're
kind of.
considering it.
Well, it's not a fun thing to talk about.
No.
Well, no, and I think there's a couple things that I think you should keep in mind here too, because I think the general public gets kind of confused on this negative lunch balances. Remember, there is a federal program that provides for the very low income and the low income. So in most cases, we're not talking about those groups of people.
Right.
We are talking about folks that are making enough that they don't qualify.
Struggling.
Some of those have unique situations, and we're very happy to visit about that and help them out, and so forth. We also have a small group of people that, I'm sure it's not just us, but they just don't pay their bills. And those are ones that are probably the hardest ones to deal with. And, you know, we've met with some of those people. And, you know, it's not just us, schools around the country are dealing with this problem. But you have to be careful, because if you let it get out of hand, you know, there's school districts that have close to $100,000 in debt. And this affects the lunch program. I mean, that program is supposed to be self-sufficient. So, and then the other thing this deals with that is a little bit confusing, we also offer an entree, or a la carte program, which is basically vending machine. We're just doing,
Mom and dad pay for it.
and that was kind of a loophole, because we could have folks that had a pretty good size deficit, maybe they're a reduced price student, but yet they were running up debt in the a la carte. And we thought we needed to kind of get a handle on that. But,
And then we could add that to Tammy's thing, because we wanted to kind of say, if you have a negative account, don't be coming up and charging. We wanna kind of say, must have cash in hand or cash in their account to get a la carte.
and I don't wanna raise a big alarm like we have a huge problem. We don't, and we also are very blessed in that we have folks that will step up to the plate and will help out those families that really need the help. But there's a small group of folks that we just need to spur on a little bit to, you know, handle your debt, so.
Do you think some of it is people that would qualify for reduced or free lunch and just don't wanna come in and do the paperwork?
No, some of them are people that have applied and don't qualify.
And I'll give Sarah a lot of credit, and her folks, they will go to your house. If they think you qualify and you haven't filled out the paperwork and maybe you can't get to it, we have some that don't have transportation, they've gone to their place and helped them fill out the paperwork. So we really try to be proactive in that area.
I know last year you worked really hard on this. Isn't this quite a bit lower than what it was last year?
It's always about the same, and then we end going into the summer anywhere between 500 and 800,
Okay.
because we really hammer on the book fees and I mean, it's very time consuming. First time ever in school history, that Fairview, for the first time, is 50% free and reduced. So that means 50% of the kids are on the free and reduced program. So, like Gary said, we are qualifying the people that are eligible. We're seeking out those people that are eligible. This is that hard group of people that, and it's like, well, you gotta stick to the policy. Well, then what? Then we have teachers and we have TAs saying, but they don't have a lunch. I'll pay the lunch, you know? And then Sue gets in the middle of it and the teachers get in the middle of it. Can't somebody put money in their lunch accounts? And we do. But then I think that they think that we're just gonna keep putting money in their lunch accounts, and for the next 12 years. And if they have several kids, the funding goes really fast. Even when we spent, or put the $600-700 in.
And I think we're much more understanding if people just work with us.
Mhm.
You know, it's the people that just ignore all the correspondence, and those are the folks that are really tough. But if you come in and visit with us, we're very accommodating and try to work with you and work out a plan and maybe even provide some assistance to help you. So, anyway, that's what this whole policy is about.
One thing we didn't include in this, so we wanna put in here something about staff, because we do have staff that are charging lunch. Can't go to Queen Beans and charge your lunch and pay them at payday, but we do have staff that are doing it. It's like, should it be a 0 tolerance? Should it be 5 meals? So again, we were kind of relaxed and lenient, and then we have people quit. So we have somebody owes $40, so should that be taken out of their last paycheck? But we don't have a policy that allows us to take the charged meals out of their paycheck, and then we've not been able to collect on that person. So there should be something in here regarding the staff too, that would help us out just a little bit.
I think in some of those staff instances, we can turn it over to a collection agency, and I think that might be the simplest way to just handle it.
Once
But
they
the-
leave, especially if
Yeah.
they still.
But the collection agency says it's not even worth it unless they're at $100 negative. So when it's like $38, are we gonna mess with a collection agency? Or if we just
And
update
then
a policy?
They take 10% of that or
Yes,
whatever
that just
percentage.
says, if you owe and you leave, we're just gonna take it out of your last paycheck.
I'm not sure legally we can do that.
So if somebody wants to look into that.
Have you had any interaction with other schools as far as knowing what they do, or have you spoken?
Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah,
Gary claims we're the best.
we're one of the best of the schools that I visit with in the central Iowa area. I mean,
As far as tactics?
yeah, and I think we probably do as good as any as far as just hounding them.
Mhm.
Other schools have had probably more issues than we have with fees. But I think, you know, lunch-wise, we're doing a pretty good job.
Well, and the part that got scratched is at the end, the school district may provide an alternative meal. So the federal government, when they came out with this, said that we could do that, but now that's part of the lunch shaming, so you cannot do that. So we have to scratch that part. And we've never done that. We've never said, well, you're at the negative, you get the second meal. We've never done that. We've never not let people eat, so.
Can't we just change it for, like in the employee handbook, that they can't charge their lunch?
We
I
can
think that would be a wise
Yeah,
choice.
not let them charge.
they can't
Yeah,
charge,
they
they
just
need
can't
to,
charge.
yeah, pay at the time of service, like she said, when you're at
Mhm.
Yeah,
an establishment.
I think that's reasonable.
And then we just have to stick to it and,
Mhm.
oh, bring it tomorrow. They just do.
I'm glad
Do-
they're paying
do they have
Tuesday
accounts
for a
like
hamburger
The
today.
regular kids, do employees have accounts like they can put in
Yep.
for the month or whatever?
Yep.
And it doesn't help that there's a meme going around Facebook right now, prisoners get 3 meals a day, why aren't we feeding our kids?
Yes.
So you've got that negative feedback flying around too.
Yeah, and that's why we've never not, if
Right.
people come in and they're like, you don't feed them? I'm like, we always feed them, we
Mhm.
do. So we've never not fed them.
So the only thing you're changing is the alternative meal, right?
Well, we broke it down into 3 sections,
Three
and the
sections.
reduced price, we went to -20 instead of -40.
Okay,
We just made it.
because that's 6 weeks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then those people tend to never wanna pay. Well, I was free last year, why do I have to pay reduced this year? Another thing that happened in the state of Iowa with 17 other states is we're in a pilot program that, if you're on Medicaid or Hawkeye, you automatically get the free meals at the school. Well, in the Hawkeye program, there's 6 tiers of income, so they only take the bottom 3. They don't take the top 3. So then we have the people come in that say, well, I'm on the Hawkeye program, so I should get the free meals. No, so you gotta explain this. We're not the judge. We just get the paperwork from the state. No, you're in the top 3 incomes of the Hawkeye program, not the bottom 3 income. So then, well, but I had the free meals last year. Why am I in the reduced this year? It's something you did with the Hawkeye Medicaid program, and then that really confuses people on their status. But if they usually just don't pay. So after 6 weeks, we have to figure something out.
Right.
Or they will go all year and they won't pay.
Well, can we work on putting that in the staff handbook, that they're not able to charge for next year?
Yep.
And would that help you?
That'll help us with the staff.
Do we need a motion?
And then the other one about, once they leave employment, whatever balance is left over that goes to collections, should we put that in there as a policy too? Or no?
Well, if you say they
If
can't
you
charge.
can't charge.
It'll just be this year that.
Yeah.
Okay, just the issue.
Once we get through this year, then we don't have to
Collection
worry
takes
about it.
such a large portion of it that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you just have to be okay that we are, I mean, cause after the 3 weeks and then it goes to negative $55. And then we're just trying to tell people if you're in a situation, they need to contact us, and then we bring it to that subcommittee. And then we are, just the 4 of us right now are figuring out who to help with the donated money. So,
That's the committee.
yeah, unless we wanna make another policy, but it just gets a lot of confusion, so.
This looks really good.
Must be difficult to choose who gets
Mhm.
and don't.
Yeah, we have a lot of discussion sometimes.
I'll move to approve the first reading of 704 R2.
Second.
Annika, no, wait a second. Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, at this point, we're gonna, jump back up to number 1, the second reading of policy 813, purchasing, which,
Yeah, we basically, just, there weren't major changes, we just kinda cleaned up some of the goods and services we have, the thresholds, that are in line with what code says for public improvement projects.
any questions?
I'll move to approve the second reading of 813 purchasing.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Moving on, the rest of these look like first readings from, the tobacco, nicotine products, drug alcohol testing, tobacco, nicotine-free environment, on down to, let's get this one, on down to, anti-bullying, anti-harassment. So these are all first readings, down to transporting of students by employees. So, we'll start at number 2 with the use of tobacco and nicotine products, 429.
You can see the strikeout, and we added the word nicotine. Before it just said tobacco, added nicotine. basically on that one. On the drug and alcohol, 435. You can see all these things in bold, and some of these are from Brett Nitschke had reviewed some of the 400, well, all the 400 series and some of his feedback, but you know, they switched around. It's drug and alcohol instead of alcohol and drug. And then I did want to point out on the page of that policy that's fairly long. If you look on page 12 of that policy, under post-accident testing, we're striking A and B from that, so basically now it would say drivers are subject to both post-accident alcohol and drug tests as soon as possible after an accident. So we're no longer saying there has to be a fatality or a citation or bodily injury if there's an accident. I mean, if somebody backs into a fence post, we're probably not gonna require a drug and alcohol test, but if you pull out of an intersection, the car doesn't have to be towed, nobody's hurt, we're still probably gonna, we're still gonna require them to get a drug and alcohol test. So that's that one. I want to point out.
And that's the, anti-bullying.
So, yeah, wait,
921.
yeah,
Oh,
so
921 is page, 20. So,
why did we have two? There's two policies in there.
yeah, 921.
This is the one you were talking about, Dwayne, and then the previous one, it struck,
I
you
know,
struck that line out.
420. I just noticed this is on policy 921, which we, after the last we just did, but the bold about the board encourages spectators to refrain from smoking, I don't see the point of having it in when up the very first paragraph, we say alcohol or tobacco products are off limits. It's like,
Yeah.
it's off
I-
limits.
And I don't wanna be the
That should be struck.
police
Yeah.
at a game.
Well,
So we better not,
we're a smoke, tobacco-free
Correct.
environment. We
Correct.
should not be encouraging spectators to refrain from smoking, implies that we're just telling you to refrain from it. It's off limits.
Right.
So that's very confusing.
so we should, yeah, I don't even remember
That
what
makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
on this for,
Makes sense
so.
to me.
I read that and my head started spinning.
Yeah. Don't add that.
Strike that.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry for the confusion on that. 104, anti-bullying, anti-harassment, they've pretty much rewritten that policy. IASB, when I say they, I mean IASB,
Oh, yeah,
so,
okay.
This is a new one for
yeah,
number 4,
so this would be
page 5.
first reading of that. Yeah, what was it, new? Yep. Form to go with it.
So Casey, would we like adopt these when we get done with the second reading of the bullying and harassment one? How do the staff get the information mid-year that has changed?
Well, we can send it out by email for sure, and then it could be something that, you know, whether in our administrative meeting, we can talk about how the best way to go about that, because there might need to be some stuff done in the buildings because, you know, it'll go out by email, but people won't necessarily look at it, so.
I do see that this part, it's got the retaliation prohibited.
Yeah.
That is kind of a new segment in there, clarifying that.
And of course, we'll probably, you know, annually we send out notices to families, which the new one will go out then, but we can talk too about notifying students and parents as well. But then handbooks will have to be updated to reflect any changes there and stuff like that, so it'll be a process.
I see what's going to be put on the school district website too, so
Yeah.
that would help too.
And that's all the first readings. Well, then the last one's a new policy on transporting students by employees.
When you say transporting, which one is that? There we go.
This comes up from time to time, actually kind of regular. Staff member transporting kids in their own vehicle.
This would cover like the new cars we're buying as well for like, say, golf team, the smaller teams when they go in these, or would that be considered a school
This would
vehicle,
be,
or this would not?
so those, that's why we have the school vehicles, but there are times where maybe there's a vehicle not available, or a staff member doesn't wanna drive, you know, there's maybe we got one, but we need another, and a parent drives their vehicle. So this is addressing when they're not in a school vehicle, but it's how we're gonna handle transporting kids in a private individual's vehicle.
I'll move to approve the first readings of 429, 435, 921. Oh gosh,
And we need to strike that one paragraph.
Yeah.
21,
Yeah.
strike.
you got that, you got the strike, Gary? Okay. 704 R2 and 104 and 104 R and 709.1.
I'll second that.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, discussing the draft of the agreement with the Arweva schools.
It's in the lime green. I think, yeah. So Karen and myself and Gary met with our board president and superintendent about this agreement. Oh, what was that, in December? And so we said we would we would review the current agreement and come up with a draft of a new one for them to discuss. And so in this, outside of updating the dates, the tuition costs, in the previous agreement, it went up 1% each year, this year being 86% of 1/8 of the per pupil cost. So you can see in this one, it says that next year it would stay at 86, then in year 2 it would go to 87, stay there for another year, and then go to 88. And then we added some language somewhere about this.
Casey, do you remember our price was, were we at, remember that, were we 85?
We started at
Yeah,
84.
84.
Well, 83, but it went up 1% each year,
Each year?
so
Started
this
at
is year 4, so 83, 84, 85, this will be 86.
Okay, so it's just continuing.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it looked a little higher, but I couldn't remember.
And Casey, we're covering our costs, right, so that our taxpayers aren't paying for our the kids by that percentage, we're covering costs, right?
Well, I don't know, Gary, have we looked at that?
Well, I think, I can kind of remember Rob talking about that when we first started doing this. The nice thing about this agreement is that we aren't really incurring any additional costs because we really aren't hiring new staff members to do this. So the expenses help defer, the revenues tend to defer some of our expenses. So, yeah, we aren't really incurring any additional expenses to provide these services.
And if they had like an IEP and had a one-on-one, that's paid through our WEVA, right, not through us?
Yes,
They would be
if it's,
billed for that, yeah.
If it's special ed, then they pay the actual cost.
We added, some language about, the computers. So that was one of the things that they asked about, is it possible for us to bill in a way that costs for technology they could pay out of their PEPAL or SAVE? And so, that's on the second,
First paragraph.
first paragraph, yeah. Cost of digital devices.
Okay.
Chromebooks are about $300 a piece or so, so it's not a huge dollar figure. And then, I think those are the main things, I think.
The computer.
Yeah. So they had a board meeting last week, I think it was, and or maybe 2 weeks ago. They discussed it as it was a discussion item on their board agenda, and the superintendent emailed me after the meeting, and he said that they reviewed the agreement and appreciate the partnership between Carroll and Arweva as a positive agreement for both districts. It's our desire to continue sharing with Carroll. As a counter, we would propose Carroll maintain the sharing percentage at 86% for each of the 4 years of the agreement. As a good neighbor, we want to continue to offer assistance in transportation for programming. Arweva has helped in the past as well without charging for the service. So when they're a bus driver, they help us out some transporting kids to ag, or it's not a huge thing. The drivers over here, I think we drive to the ag building or to the middle school, I think, right?
Ag building.
Yeah, ag building. So that's a small thing. And it helps with both districts since the driver's waiting. Secondly, we appreciate the willingness to itemize the costs for electronic devices, so we can pay these expenses out of PEPAL or SAVE.
So is he asking instead of on the first page of 86, 87, 87, 88, he wants to keep it at 86?
Yep, so
Okay.
they would ask us to consider.
I would say that we need to stick with the tapered up. I mean, each year we have increased expenses. Our allowable growth changes. I mean, we still need to not stay stagnant, but continue to receive enough money so that we can,
We also would be paying any dual credits. Would that come out of us, or is that?
comes out of them, it said.
That would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
their addition, okay.
But I know that it's been a problem at the high school scheduling, and making sure that not only the Arweva kids, but the Carroll kids can get into those classes because of their limited time they're on campus. So, even though it's a great sharing agreement, we are doing some sacrifices to our students as well. And that just provides us the ability to be able to maybe have more courses, have more teachers, which I don't think we can cut ourselves short, especially with the allowable growth, and what it's been for 6-7 years now.
But nobody's taking any action, it's all discussion at this point. I mean, what he's saying is instead of going, they're asking us to consider changing that to leave it at 86% for the 4 years of this agreement. Okay. Instead of going up.
The last agreement went up 1% a year.
Yeah.
Percent every other year,
Yeah,
so it
right.
seems kind of like a compromise.
Right.
Yeah, because year 2 and 3, we're keeping it the same.
Is it a deal breaker for them if we don't?
I don't know, I mean, he didn't say that either way. I mean, I would just go back if you want me to and say the board, they're comfortable with this and see what he says.
Did you get a chance to talk to Tammy and Denny to see if their schedules, is it working for you guys? I know it's difficult, but is it working? Do we need to ask them to adjust when the kids are here?
I don't think, that'll just move the,
Problem somewhere else?
yeah. No, we've managed, it's working, okay.
So if that's what I'm hearing, is you want me to go back and say that the Carroll board is comfortable with the agreement as written?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to roughly figure what that little change is, and it's pretty small.
Yeah, it is. Yep, okay.
I think it's reasonable. Okay, moving on. Lisbon Governors University, this is actually.
Yeah. Is that the middle school, is it?
High school and middle school.
Yeah, we have a student teacher.
I have a student teacher that is currently at Carroll High School, working with Mrs. Regaler and Mrs. Ehlers in the special education field. And she will be at Carroll High School for 8 weeks, and then she will move over to the middle school for the remaining 8 weeks. Mr. Raymond happens to be her mentor, correct? Clinical supervisor. And so, so far, working out extremely well. We always take student teaching agreements to the board, and so she's already started, but at any rate, yeah. Jared, do you have anything to say?
She'll be working with Tanya Onken in 5th grade in special education. She's doing special education at the high school and at the middle school.
And we just, one of you asked in our pre-board meeting, you know, how often do we have student teachers? And I know you have a student one right now at Fairview?
One now and one just before Christmas this year.
Yeah. So we have student teachers
Yeah,
fairly
often.
regular,
Mhm.
yeah.
We're always really careful with
Mm-hmm.
placement of student teachers. We want to make sure that it's an experienced teacher, been with the district,
Yeah.
and can handle a student teacher.
Right.
This is a situation, with this particular one where, you know, we'll have, we may have an advantage in that we have an opening in special education, so we'll see how that goes. And so you can see this person teach for a while and, see how that goes.
Now, when she, I don't know if it's a he or she, but when
She.
they chose us, is it because they are from around this
Mhm.
area? Okay,
Yeah, it's an online program.
Mhm.
okay.
She's from Dedham.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And she was a para before, a TA before.
Yeah, at a
At a
different.
previous school,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
very excited to get in the classroom. She's doing quite well.
Is there an expense or cost to us to partner with this, or is it just a matter of an agreement? Okay. Yep.
I guess we'll need a motion to approve this agreement.
I would make that motion. I think it's a win-win.
Second.
Karen,
Yes?
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
What was you, what that was me? Okay. Yeah. No, I think we can, well,
Fairly rather, that's,
Oh, yeah.
oh, and the trade, the classes for Tammy, right?
got a little while to go here. Job descriptions. This was-
Yeah, these, so you got 6 of them in front of you, they're Director of Accounting Coordinator, these are some updates that were made, actually, prior to me getting here, it's just they hadn't been brought to the board. And then we have several custodial that Jeff is, DeVorick is looked at. I know Dwayne brought up one of them.
It's not
Yeah,
in one of them, it's, I'm just looking, it's in 3 of them.
it's on all of them, so we may need to go back and look at that one. It says refrain from using, yeah.
All of the custodial ones, point number 11's got a
Yes.
refrain from using
Yeah.
tobacco. Again, the same statements in there, it's like, we're smoke-free, we're smoke-free.
It almost looks like he's striking almost all of the responsibilities, so should we rewrite the whole type of thing? It just seems like, when we look through it, 1 through 18, or he just,
Well, some of these are fairly old, so like the Director of Building and Grounds, I think if you read through that, you know, like attends board meetings, well, that would be fine, but sometimes, some of these like, at one point, there was an assistant superintendent that did had these responsibilities, so.
So we need to look into it.
But we need to clean that up to where it
Okay.
says that it's prohibited.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Are you gonna look at the job, descriptions of our retiring
Yeah.
people and update
Yeah.
those with them, so we can?
Yeah. And then there's the last one I think is in your folder, that custodian, stadium and grounds. That's in the folder. Probably has the same thing.
Yeah, I remember reading it. Is it number 11?
It's under number 9.
Okay. Yeah. And you put vaping in there, so that was included on that, which I didn't see it on there too. So I don't know if that's, maybe she clean all these up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to
Okay.
look at those.
Alright, so we won't do any type of,
I think you could approve one, director, district accounting and coordinator.
this one here,
Yeah.
We're gonna wait on the others.
gonna clean the rest of them up, I think.
Yeah.
I move to approve the district accounting coordinator job description.
I'll second that.
Annika, Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes. These 3 high school students have completed requirements for graduation.
Mhm.
We are requesting that they be approved for early graduation.
Mhm.
Mercedes Cooking, Maddie Hacker, Menoza Lily.
Mhm. Very good.
Good.
You get points.
I move to approve the 3 early graduates.
Second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer, Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika.
Yes.
This is the new recommendation for that course. Next item is a new recommendation for a new course being offered at Carroll High School, Construction and Trade Practices, which Tammy handed out.
Mhm. Okay, so you have the handout in front of you. Just a quick, brief presentation here about the course. Mr. Lighty could not be here this evening because he is coaching a basketball game in Jefferson. He would do a much better job speaking to a lot of the components of this. I'm relying on Jerry and Sue and Karen and Casey, who were at the meeting the other night. I guess Rebecca could help out too. Essentially, the theory behind adding this course, there's a couple reasons. Part of the requirements of the Perkins grant, which is what gives some of the funding, a percentage of the dollars to our district for career tech ed classes, requires that you offer a certain amount of non-concurrent enrollment courses. If you look through the back of this packet, you'll see the course offerings within industrial technology, and they're heavy on the DMAC side. And so, determining what type of course to offer was figured by the labor market, and the fact that DMAC itself used to have a buildings trades class where they would build homes in the area, and that class no longer exists. On this particular handout, you'll see a comparison, because my first question to Mr. Lighting was, how does this differ from the home repair class, which is now in its 3rd year? And the way he explained it is that the home repair class teaches you to do specific things such as wire an outlet, repair a hole in drywall, frame a wall, different things like that, whereas the construction trades class will actually be partnering with contractors within our community to help learn about the different types of needs for our community and learn some of those skills that specifically are happening, like bricklaying or pouring concrete in a driveway, different things like that. Let's see, okay, so let's go on here. Career Tech Ed, the push within the state is huge right now, and with the changes with Perkins and so on and so forth, and I'm not trying to drag this meeting out any longer than what it already has taken, but I do think it's worth you seeing the benefits that Career Tech Education adds to our high school. The different areas, for those of you who don't know, that we serve are agriculture, business, industrial tech, and family consumer science. Our WEVA students participate in all of these different areas because they do not have CTE courses in their district, and just this year we have taken on, or I have taken on, the reporting for those students as well. That being said, that increases the amount of money that we get through our Perkins grant, so that helps too. This particular video right here was created by students in the Career Tech Ed field, and it just gives you a very brief overview. And I don't know why the sound doesn't work. Casey, am I supposed to have special speakers hooked up? Oh, okay. Well, I'll turn this up as loud as it'll go, and I'm sure you won't be able to hear it. But it is narrated by Alex Lowe. You'll hear his voice. He is the voice of Tiger Vision live streaming. He does such an excellent job.
CTE, Career and Technical Education. At Carroll High School, we have a strong CTE department that focuses on business and marketing, human services, agriculture, as well as engineering and construction. Students at CHS can take many classes in these areas that will prepare them for life after high school. Students learn both content and soft skills from both CHS instructors and business leaders in our community. Our students have the opportunity to work with top-notch equipment and educated instructors, making them sought after for employment both in and after high school.
Every student should take some form of industrial tech class for the fact that someday you are all going to be out and be homeowners. Now, whether you're repairing a door, repairing a hinge, or you're designing a house where you need to use a CAD software package of some sort, you can pick up all these assets in my courses that I teach. And I just think that's a huge reason everyone should take some type of an industrial tech class before they graduate.
I took ag classes this year because I'm interested in going into an agricultural career. I am in ag, and because I thought it would be fun.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Willenberg, and I teach family consumer science. If you're interested in being an interior designer, a teacher, want to be in social work, or if you want to be a chef, you should take FCS because we offer a lot of different courses that would apply.
Business education is important for students to learn basics of how a business is run. Even if they're not going into business field, or if they're not planning to own their own business, it's important for them to know how businesses are run so they can know that as a consumer.
CTE courses not only prepare students for life after high school, but are also enjoyable for students and offer hands-on learning to meet the needs of many different types of learners. Here at Carroll High School, we are lucky to have a strong CTE department and look forward to all that can be accomplished in the future for students who are involved in CTE at CHS.
Okay. And could everybody kind of hear that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so some of the data that we use, aside from the fact that if anybody's here has tried to call a contractor in town and the waiting list is like forever, I've had contractors call me to recommend students that could be assistance for them. And so this is just some data from statewide. 12,785 are employed in construction laborers in 2016 and 14,600 projected to be employed in 2026. The job is projected to grow 1.4% annually, which is faster than the 0.8% overall statewide rate for all occupations. So we feel as if we're serving a need for our community, as well as offering an opportunity for kids to have hands-on practical experience. And we have some very talented kids in this area. So since Mr. Lighting couldn't be here, this is like 1 minute long description of the course. I told him if you can't be here, you have to do a recording of it. He said, great. He was really happy about that.
Good evening, school board, administrators, and visitors. I'm Doug Lighting. I'm your industrial technology teacher here at Carroll High School. I apologize for not being able to attend the meeting this evening, but I am coaching a 7th grade boys basketball game in Jefferson. I'm proposing that we offer a course titled Construction Trade Practices. There are no prerequisites for this course, and it is open to students grades 10 through 12. DMAC used to offer a course called Building Trades, and very similar to this, but they discontinued it 2 years ago. We do not intend for this to be a concurrent enrollment course due to the fact that over 62% of my course offerings fall as DMAC courses. With the demand in this area, whether it be in Carroll, the state of Iowa, or nationally, Iowa Workforce Development predicts these jobs to be in the top 10 of professions that are in demand in the near future. We would like to start this course at 8 a.m. rather than 8:15 because of the curriculum to be covered, as well as being able to go to the job sites and actually see concrete forms being set, concrete poured, to rafters being set on a new home, or cabinets installed into a home. As for getting students to the job site, I will be driving the bus, so there will be no added expense to the school. We are partnering with several contractors in the Carroll area that they are allowing us to come to the job sites. They've all said that they can't find enough help, and by doing this, hopefully, it will get some of these students interested into the field. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or get a hold of me at school. Hopefully I've covered everything I needed. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Hope they won.
All right. So I've linked a proposal, but it's not necessary for me to click on it since you have it in your hands. This particular course would be a semester course. It would be for 1 credit, and my question to him is, can students take this more than 1 year? And he said, no. And I said, wait a minute, I want you to think about that. He said, what would the advantages be of students being able to take this multiple times? Things change, technologies change, the way that there's going to be different opportunities to learn different things at different times. So he now has agreed that students can take this more than once. Tiger Vision is that way, Performance Speech is that way. Some of those courses lend themselves to certain students being able to take them more than one time. Questions?
Yes. Who is responsible for liability on the construction site?
That's a great question.
Or the insurance agent?
Well, that was asked. Now Doug will be driving a bus. It's like taking a student on any kind of field trip, plus the contractors have liability insurance too. That's how I think how Doug answered that question the last time it was asked.
Okay.
Does it cover, is it an elective credit then for?
First time they take it would be vocational.
Okay.
So I see Gary's eyebrows raising. The second time it would be just an elective credit.
We can check with our insurance agent too. I think there's some provision for that, you know, under our policy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bingston.
Sure.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right, thank you very much.
And the committee that we, the other night, they recommended approval to bring it to you folks, so.
That's great.
I think it's wonderful.
I'll move to approve the construction trade class, practices class. Second.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Dwayne? Yes. Karen?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yep.
You guys look anxious.
I think this is Minnesota.
You're all
I
happy.
think Tammy wants to stay here. Her computer's still on.
Jerry, you're like, I
Have a
don't
good
know.
weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Gary?
Stay warm.
packet, the financial sheets are all paper clipped together. And I'm gonna go through these very quickly. But the first page, the one that's on top, has a lot of different colors on it. And really, what you're interested in is those yellow boxes. This is where we're at as far as expenditures compared to what we advertised in the newspaper for our certified budget. And so there's 4 categories: instruction, support services, non-instruction, which is food service, and then other, which is primarily your silo and PEFL funds. And you can see that we're 58% of the year completed, and you can see our percentages so far of what we have spent. So we're doing well there. The second sheet is in kind of an orange color. It's kind of hard to look at. This is our line item budget, which is a little different than our certified budget. This is a lot tighter, and it's what we use as a management tool in terms of our expenditures. And you can look at the different, these are our funds, you can look at the different funds and see where we're at. The one that I would call your attention to that looks high is management fund. Part of that is because we expend a lot of our management fund bills are at the beginning of the year, and then they aren't recurring. But overall, there at the bottom, you can see that revenues, they always lag behind expenditures. We're at about 50%, and expenditures were about 52.5%. And then the remaining 3 are just kind of a synopsis of where we're at with local option sales tax, physical plant and equipment levy, and then the management fund. Budgeted in the blue and then year to date. So. No. And I did not include an expenditure report on the stadium because there was no activity this last month. So if we do have some activity in there, I'll get you one of those too.
Has everything been touched up down there and taken care of?
We haven't paid our final payment yet, so.
The answer is no. Wow.
So.
It's a never-ending process.
Yeah, no, it just goes on forever.
Have they fixed the drains yet, so the water goes into the drain? Gravity, right?
Sounds kind of important.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion to approve anything here?
No.
Okay, the bids for the used vans, this was
Yeah,
cases.
so we had 2 vans that we put out for bid. And you can see in the addendum that we received a bid from, well, on the blue 2004 Chevy Venture van, we had a bid for $50. And then for the red 2002 E150 van, we had a bid for $1,220. Our recommendation tonight is to accept the bid for the Ford E150 for $1,220 and to reject the bid for the Chevy Venture at $50. We checked into the price, if we would just take it to salvage it on our own, we would get more than $50, so.
Yeah, I was not really in favor of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong in the addendum here.
Yeah.
So,
What's wrong there?
It says that we recommend
Oh, that we
approval.
recommend it. Oh, that was,
Yeah.
so the intent on the front end was not to recommend it?
No,
Or was that
No.
Jeff's?
It was-
this one, the addendum lists to approve both of them.
Right.
And what we're recommending is you approve the bid for 1,220,
Right.
but reject the other one.
Yeah.
I think Jeff was just thinking, we got a bid for each one,
Just let it
we
go.
just take them. And
Yeah.
so I said, let's check on that before we.
Yeah, I was not in favor of that $50 one.
I move to approve the bid for the 1,220 for the 2002 Ford E150 van. Second.
Do you want to mention in there to reject the other?
Oh,
one?
and reject the other bid for the 2002 Ford,
2004.
2004
Chevy.
Chevy Venture.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy?
Just-
Did I
just
get off
decide.
track? Dwayne? Let me start over. Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
She's stepped out,
She's
she's not
stepped
there.
oh,
Yeah, she
and
was-
Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's what threw me off.
Jimmy, is it Cass? For-
Jimmy Casas,
Casas,
yes.
For professional development. August 2020.
And that's in your packet there, the pink one at the end. We're asking you to approve this agreement that would bring Jimmy Casas here to Carroll on August 19th next year. He would be here and spend the day with our staff, delivering some professional development. I would say it'd be a combination of learning and motivation, just kind of getting fired up for the school year, but also some learning. He does large group and breaks them up into small groups. He'll have them working, it's not just to sit and listen to him all day, but Jimmy's actually a former Iowa administrator in eastern Iowa, from eastern Iowa, now does this on his own. The cost is, it's pricey, it's $9,500 for the day, plus some travel. And we're planning to have this at the high school. We're not gonna go to the Carrollton for this, just based on the things that he's wanting to do. So, we have some categorical funds that we have, the only thing we can spend on is basically professional development. And our plan is to pay for this out of those Title II-A and
Mhm.
2A. Is what we can use. We can use that for professional development, so.
And you and the administrators think that it's beneficial, right?
Yeah, actually, the principals and our instructional, a couple, well, maybe all of them, instructional coaches have heard him speak. I know in the leadership team of the middle school right now is reading his book that's out. And so they actually brought the idea and recommendation to me and yep.
I move to approve the contract with Jimmy, is it Cassis? How do you say it?
Casas.
Cassis, okay. For PD for August 19th. Second.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika, Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Moving on, the Kemper Farm lease.
Yeah, you can see that in here. I did check last year, it is for the same amount. So this is for 12 acres, it's kinda behind the field house and in that area. It was 3,000 last year and 3,000 is what they're proposing for the next year.
And FFA pays for it right out of their fund.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the lease with Kemper for the Carroll area FFA.
Second.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes. Similarly, moving on to the City of Carroll lease. Again, this has to do with the Carroll FFA program, 15 acres.
Yep, this one's behind the community, or I say behind, west of the community garden area. And so that is $1, and it's been $1 for a long, long time, so and it remains that way, as you can see.
I'll move to approve the farm lease from the city of Carroll for the Carroll area FFA.
Second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Greenwood Special Education Administrative Cost. Karen?
well, we have a